All right, guys, welcome into our very first Friday edition of Extra Point with Phil Jones. Really looking forward to bringing you guys this exciting new edition. Just like my Monday show that I've been doing now for a little over 5 years, we're going to test the waters a little bit and start our new Scoreboard show. I say it's a lot like Monday's show. We're going to go 2 hours every Friday and still going to entertain your comments and really looking for the scores, guys. We want to talk about all the games that are going on around the state and want to hear from you guys as always. You guys have always been very super about bringing me up to speed on games, information. Obviously, we'll talk about yesterday's game, Corky Kill Classic, get started, as well as, of course, the big one that, man, we waited. I mean, it finally happened yesterday. Of course, that was the unveiling issues, technical issues. Hopefully, you guys can hear me better now. We got Michael, who is producing our show. Lets me know that, okay, it is fixed. So that's good news. Again, if you've got any scores, pass them along to me. Definitely want to take any scores that you've got. Nathan Sloan says, cannot hear you. Can you hear me now, Nathan? Daniel James says there's no sound. What you got, brother? Let me know. You guys give me an update if you can hear me now. Jacob Carlton checking out the show. What's up, Jacob? Let me know if you guys can hear me now. We started off with a little bit of a technical issues there. So let me know if you can hear me as we just reconnected. Jacob, thanks for that update, buddy. You can hear me now. That's good. Glad to hear that. I can tell you this. We've got a lot of the games up in the north part of the state that are delayed by rain. I think it's pretty much Macon and North. I don't think there's really many games in the southern part of the state that's been delayed, but I could be wrong. But I think most of the delays have occurred up in the north part of the state. And I know that we've got our owner, Mark Dyke, Collins Hill. We were originally scheduled to do the Collins Hill Grayson game tonight. We had gotten a pretty good schedule of games lined up. And then again, we decided to forego our Friday night game of the week situation and do this, our scoreboard show. But anyway, ITG Next is represented up at Collins Hill, the Hill, for that Grayson game. As soon as we can get some updates on that, we'll pass them along to you. But that was in a weather delay, as I know a lot of games were also in a weather delay. So, Jacob Carlton, if you got any scores for me, brother, let me know. Oh, by the way, we got, last I heard, we had Colquitt County and Benedictine tied. Now, I didn't get an update. I think it was in the third quarter. They were tied 14-14. Let me know if you guys got any update on that. Stephen K. Wynn, what's up, Stephen? Lee County up 45-7 into the third. Wow. Got to be honest with you, I thought Lee County would win. I thought it would be a little bit closer than that. And remember what I said, guys, after I actually said this before that Carver scrimmage that Lee County had, that I thought Lee County could possibly be even better than they were last year. Yes, I caught a lot of grief for that. And I get it. Lee County had an explosive record-setting offense last year. But, man, let me tell you, Dean Fabrizio has always been straight up with me. Okay, if he tells me that they've got a good team, he means what he says. If he tells me, which he has before, says, Phil, I just don't think we've got what it takes this year, to go all the way. Of course, they're always going to have a good competitive team. But, yeah, before the Milton game last year, Coach was very straight up, said, you know what, I just don't know. We've got a great team, but Milton is almost unbeatable. Proved to be they were. So my point being, Coach always shoots straight with me, and he told me to a man that, hey, I think we've got one of the best teams I've ever had here. The depth is incredible, especially in the running back group. You've got probably the best defensive secondary in the state, Lee County does, maybe even the best group of linebackers in the state. And, of course, I'm talking about in 5A. Now, again, I know that's a stretch, but Lee County obviously looked good in the scrimmage, and so far – looking pretty good against a really solid Warner Robins team, Shane Sams. Again, thanks for that update, my buddy, Stephen K. Wynn. Stephen K. Wynn also giving me an update. Colquitt and Benedictine. Wow, 24-24, a minute left in the game, Stephen. Is that right? How about that? Now, I did predict Benedictine to win this game. But, man, right now, that thing is going right down to the wire, literally 24-24. Seconds left. Nathan Sloan also giving me an update on that. Brother, I do appreciate all these updates. Mike Sorensen, man, come on to Tiff County. I thought Tiff County was going to have a little bit easier time than what they're having with Griffin. That is the opening game of the year for both these teams, obviously. You've got this game at Brody Field. Remember last year, Jeff Littleton's first game at Tiff County, he takes the Devils up to Griffin, and I think it was 41-0. Big time win. Of course, it would be only one or two wins that Tiff County got last year. So Jeff Littleton, which I'm doing the Tiff County Coaches Show this year, it's one of several coaches shows that I'm doing. I hope you guys can check it out. I record the show every Tuesday. We'll usually release it on Wednesday, but In that show this week, Jeff Littleton told me that, hey, this is a different Griffin team than what we saw last year. New coaching staff. He said they're much improved, and it looks like they are. Now, again, Mike Sorensen tells me 31-28. It's Griffin over Tift County. 4 minutes left in the fourth. Tift County's got the ball. So we'll see if Tift County, I guess led by Damian Dixon, the quarterback, can come down and can get it done. All right, another big game that everybody's looking forward to. Marietta, new coach there. You've got Cameron Duke. He came from Edgewater up in down in Orlando. Took the place of a longtime Marietta coach, Richard Morgan. That's a proud program, former state championship program. They won a state championship, like 5-6 years ago? My buddy Roster Sutherland can fill me in, or Mayretta Tayretta can fill me in on that. But a lot of excitement surrounding the Marietta football program. They go over to Osborne last weekend in their final preseason tune-up, preseason scrimmage at the Cardinal at Osborne. And they really handled Osborne. Now, it's Osborne. This is Gainesville. I told some Marietta fans, look, just, take everything with a grain of salt with what happened at Osborne, because that will not be the same at Gainesville. I mean, you got to open at Gainesville. They're licking their wounds from a 7-4 season last year. Bear with me, guys. All right. I do believe we are back. Jacob Carlton tells me that Warner Robins has turned the ball over 3 times in their own end. Not good. Roster Sutherland checking in. Guys, bear with me a second. Mike, I had to rejoin the stream. That's our producer, kind of letting him know what's going on. So, again, you guys bear with me there. All right. Jacob Carlton. Warner Robins has turned the ball over 3 times in their own 30-yard line. Lee County also a kick return for a touchdown. So Lee County special teams obviously looking pretty good as well. All right. So I am going to go over and get some of these. I'm going to go over and get some of these live scores coming in. All right, so I got my scoreboard up here. All right, I've got Camden County leading Brunswick 30-28. Now, this is a non-region game, but it's a big game, big rivalry game. A couple of the teams, obviously, from over on the coast. Camden County 30-28 on Brunswick. That's in the fourth. And some of these games that are in the fourth quarter have got to be coming to a close. Again, Camden County 30-28 over Brunswick. Again, another big game. You've got Brunswick. Camden County. They got Will Jackson, the new quarterback. He came from South Florida. He may have been where head coach Travis Rowland used to be there at the Daytona school, but Daytona Beach school. I'm not positive of that. But anyway, remember they had Parks Rendell. who had been a 3-year starter, going back to Jeff Herron. They decided to make a quarterback change, and we're going to see how that plays out. A little bit of controversy there, but again, I think they got Parks Rendell, who has moved to a couple of other positions. He's a great athlete, but they put a new quarterback in, Will Jackson, who again transferred up to Brunswick this offseason. So far, so good. Camden County leads Brunswick 30-28. All right, I'm still showing Benedictine Colquitt County. I know somebody give me an update on that earlier. Lowndes over Jenkins. That's going to be a laugher. And so far it has been. Lowndes is up on Jenkins. I get 29-7 is the last I got. Now we may need an update on that. Valdosta Tucker up. Valdosta's up on Tucker 35-13. This next one is a little bit of a surprise. Not that Carrollton's winning, but the fact that Carrollton's winning like they are, 48-21 over Woodward Academy. And that's final, by the way. That has gone final. So that surprises me just a little bit. Sandy Creek, East Coweta. I'm showing 7-7 in the third. I'm not sure if that is still somebody let me know about that. Give me an update on that. Harrison, the Harrison Hoyas, 28-7 on Kennesaw Mountain. We got Archer. Now, wow, look at Archer, guys. Archer has defeated North Cobb at North Cobb. 20-17. Are you kidding me? Wow, there's probably my first big shocker of the night. My other big shocker, I had Fellowship Christian 20-0 over Bowden. Wow, as another. So a couple of shockers there, guys. Archer knocks off North Cobb at North Cobb 20-17. Are you kidding me? Not a shocker, as Cole Moore tells me. Thomas County Central all over an outmatched Monroe team, 56-0. But two big shockers coming in. Our first, these are the first of the year, first of the night. And I'll say the first big shockers. Archer knocks off North Cobb 20-17. Wow. Remember, it was North Cobb, guys, that got Teddy Gerard from North Cobb Christian. He's one of the top quarterbacks. He made our top 10 quarterback list that yours truly puts together. So Teddy Gerard goes to North Cobb in the offseason. But as talented as he is, not enough. Wow, I'm just shocked at that one, guys. North Cobb losing to Archer 20-17. Nothing against Archer, but I just thought North Cobb was going to have a little bit better team than that. But, and look, it's just early. They still may come out all right. Remember, Grayson lost their first game of the year last year to these same Collins Hill Eagles that they're playing tonight. So Grayson loses last year, and you're thinking, oh, man, it's all over. Well, not so fast. That would be the only loss of the year as they go to run the table and win the course of Class 6A state championship. By the way, I'm expecting them to win it again this year. We're going to see what happens. Again, really looking forward once that game gets up and rocking and rolling up there at Collins Hill. Between Collins Hill and Grayson. I will tell you, I've got Collins Hill picked to win that game in an upset, but we'll see what happens. Not a surprise and not an upset. Although I am a little surprised how close this game was, but there could be some reasons for that. And I'm talking about Coffee, 28-14 over Bainbridge. Look, I think Jay Walls is going to have that team. Sounds like he already has got that team much improved. They were a train wreck last year, no doubt about that. That was Jeff Littleton's old school. He comes to Tifton. You guys know the drill on that. Jay Walls, of course, used to be at Tift County, so a lot of interesting storylines there. But anyway, you can bet Jay Walls is going to make any team everywhere he's been. He makes the team better, and that's going to be the case with Bainbridge. That's a heck of an opener, though, for Bainbridge, the Bearcats, trying to take on Coffee. That way, by the way, was at Coffee over in Douglas. I know my buddy Rodney Douglas and Stephen Tate and Collins, buddy McDaniel. They got the tailgating going on. One of my top 5 tailgating schools around the state. If you guys have missed any of our content that I'm talking about, you can subscribe to our newsletter. Gives you all of this great content that we all produce together. I wrote the story on the top tailgating schools in the state. And had to do a little bit of research. Some of it was based on my own experience. Coffee was one of them. Man, I tell you, no one's taking care of me like coffee did. Man, they lay out a smorgasbord. Hey, it ain't just tailgating; it's a smorgasbord of food. They do a great job over there tailgating and feeding many of the fans over there at Douglas, home of the coffee High Trojans. Perry up on Baldwin, the Baldwin Braves. No real surprise there. Perry up 26-0. That's the last score I had on that one. Howard over Westside Macon 14-7. Westminster over Lubbock. Guys, let me tell you something. That's one of the biggest rivalries in the state of Georgia. Now, if you're not up there and you look at it from a distance, you may think, okay, come on, these private schools, rich kid, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you, I have heard some incredible rivalry-based, hate-filled stories of parents going at it. I mean, it got bad one year. In fact, it got so bad they had to stop this rivalry game. Yeah, who'd have thunk that, right? The elite Westminster and Lubbock, but that is a heck of a rivalry. They decided to start it back up a few years ago. Right now, Westminster leads it. How do you like these rivalry games to start the year? I think that's pretty cool. I can remember Valdosta and Lowndes started off the season there for a couple of years. I believe it may have been during Alan Rodemaker's run at Valdosta. Wow, I still got Fellowship Christian up on Bowden, 20-0. Now that score has been holding for a while. I'll see if we can get an update on that one. In fact, I'm going to refresh here. Still got Camden County up on Brunswick, 30-28. Okay, let me get back to our feed here and see what you guys have got. Bear with me here. Guys, I'm going kind of back and forth with you guys. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. Appreciate you guys checking in with me here. Michael Baxter says, I'm concerned about Milton after that loss. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be at all, brother. I'll tell you what. One thing we found out about Milton, they got themselves a dog at quarterback, don't they? Derek Baker. Take yourself a bow, young man, albeit in a losing situation. But I talked to, I didn't talk, but I responded. I tweeted to Ben Reeves today. I said, Coach, looks like you got yourself a quarterback. He responded back to me 1,000%. So, yeah, they've got a good quarterback. Man, he trucked a Buford defensive back. I don't know. Did you guys see that last night? Boom. I got to tell you, he reminds me a lot of Luke Nickel. Yeah, he can throw it well. He can run well. He can run you over well, as I just described. So I think who was that? Was that all right, Tift County has come back, it looks like, to defeat Griffin. How about that? Well, that's good news for Tift County. They didn't get it done easy, but they got it done. Mike Sorensen, thank you very much. Mike says Tift County is in the victory formation. What do you got, Nathan? What you got on the Colquitt County Benedictine game? Trey Halstead giving me an update. Says Lee County's up 45-7 against Warner Robins. Again, not saying I'm surprised that Lee County won or is winning. I'm not. But I thought that would be a little bit closer. Again, this is the first year since they started playing. I think this is, the fourth straight season that they've opened up the season against each other. We've done every one of those games except for tonight, obviously, whether it be at Warner Robins or Lee County. So we have been honored to be a part of that live stream, that rivalry that those two teams have got going on. But again, we will not be doing it this year, of course. But anyway, thanks for that, Trey. Abby Pearson, what's up, Abby? Abby gives us an update. Clinch 25-6 on Bacon. So Jim Dickerson, of course, back at Clinch, doing a great job. Is that a surprise? No. Okay, Michael, though. Michael says, I'm concerned about Milton after that loss. Michael, I wouldn't be at all. And I don't know why you are. And I say that with all respect, brother. Look, I think it's one of those games. I think you go ask Ben Reeves. I could be wrong. I'm going to talk to him tomorrow. But I think you go ask Ben Reeves, are you disappointed? Sure he is for the loss. But I think the way his team played, had a chance there at the end to maybe go down and tie it, maybe even take the lead. They get the interception, of course. So Buford socked it away after that. Speaking of the victory formation, but I think Milton's going to be fine. Look, Michael, I think it's one of those games. There was a lot of question marks. Number one, the quarterback situation. Everybody was wondering what's going to happen without Luke Nickel. We got Derek Baker. I was a little bit concerned. Derek Baker came from St. Thomas Aquinas, and he really never was a full-time starter. I don't know if you guys know that or not. Now, obviously, he's a heck of an athlete. He's a heck of a quarterback, and he's got all kind of offers. So the college recruiters wasn't too worried about his lack of experience. And last night, I think, showed why. So, I think I think Milton answered a lot of questions, namely their quarterback. So, man, if I'm a Milton fan, I'm not worried at all. I'm not. I think it was one of those games you expect. Could have been the last team with the football has a chance to win. Milton had the ball there at the end and had a chance to win or tie. But they throw the interception. It looked like pretty much a desperation throw. I don't know how much time was left in the game, guys. Maybe somebody can enlighten me on that. But it was just kind of like and was it Derek Baker that threw that, by the way? I think it was the backup, wasn't it? So what I'm hearing is that Derek Baker had injured his hand. I think it was in that aforementioned collision that I just mentioned about Derek Baker running over the defensive back. I'm assuming it was for Buford. Hurts his hand. He has to come out of the game. I don't know if it was that last throw of the game, if that was him or if that was the backup. I don't know. I know the backup had thrown a touchdown pass for Milton last night. So anyway, a little confusion going on there. Don't know what's what, but hopefully they want Derek Baker healthy, of course. But I think showed me that he is the man with the plan. He's ready to go. So I don't think there's any problem there. Greg Hackle, Fitzgerald defeats Irwin 48-0. Guys, I did not have Irwin County in my preseason top 10. And man, everybody gave me slack about it. You don't know what you're talking about. Why do you not have Irwin County, one of the best teams? Blah, 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 blah. Look, I'll tell you why. They lost everybody. Okay. That's why I look at those kind of things in the offseason and I've tried to see, who you got coming back, who you don't have coming back. Irwin, they were decimated by graduation. And let me say this, guys. Let me tell you something. Anytime you see a longtime veteran coach leave a program fairly unexpectedly, that's usually a telltale sign that coach probably knows that things are about to get dry. Now, again, no one has told me that, but usually every time you see a longtime coach usually leave under his own volition, 9 times out of 10, it's like, we're about to hit a dry spell. I'm out of here. So I did not include Irwin in my top 10. And this is kind of justified, it looks like. So as Fitzgerald rolls over Irwin 48-0. So it could be a long year for Coach Larry Harold, the new head coach coming down from Central Gwinnett. And how about that? 2 new head coaches there. Congratulations to Wes Tankersley. A big win in his first game with his new team, Fitzgerald. All right, guys, let's see what else we got. Appreciate everybody watching, by the way. I love it. Give me the scores. We'll try to exchange some scores, try to give you guys some scores. Simba Lion says, yeah, I agree. Look, I don't take any satisfaction in that. It's just facts. I'll be honest with you. I had Hughes going back to 6A or 5A. 6A? Anyway, I had Hughes barely in my top 10. And I caught a lot of grief for that. Now, Hughes has got a pretty easy schedule. Okay, so they'll win a lot of games in the regular season, but I think come playoff time, I think Hughes is not going to be the team they had last year. But again, I've caught a lot of heat for that. But again, I try to call them as I see them, but I did see that with Irwin. I just didn't think they had enough talent coming back. And at least for this one game, looks like my thoughts were justified. Okay, Camden has defeated Brunswick. Jamie Fraley Seeger. Thank you so much for that, Jamie. How you doing? Jamie's a good friend, and she has she's Miss Camden County, by the way, as I have anointed her to that. But Camden 44-35 over Brunswick. Man, we had some shootouts tonight, didn't we, guys? So Camden 44-35. Let me write that down. Camden 44-35 over Brunswick. So Travis Rowland and Camden goes to 1-0 on the season. This is one of those teams, Camden County. Remember, they got off to a red-hot start last year. They go to Valdosta. I mean, you guys remember this. They go to Valdosta, and they got their clock cleaned. I mean, got destroyed. And that kind of, Camden was what? I believe they made the playoffs. But anyway, we're going to see if Camden is improved. Looks a lot like the same situation they had last year. Pretty good offense, but giving up a lot of points. That's a battle of two good teams. Again, a rivalry game, 44-35. Yeah, look, if it's a close game, guys, win, lose, or draw, that's all you can ask for. Now, if you're getting beat by almost 50 points, that's cause for alarm. You are watching our Friday night version of Extra Point with yours truly, Phil Jones. It's our scoreboard show. Let us know what you think about it. Don't count the early glitches that we had there. Again, this is all new to us, something we're trying. We've got some new software. We're working with a new streaming service, Streamlabs. And so anyway, just trying to work out some of the bugs, but hopefully you guys give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Hopefully we won't get too many thumbs down, but I hope you guys like the show. We're going to be doing it every Friday night, welcoming you guys in to talk with us, to chat with us like we do on Monday night. And by the way, if you're not familiar with Monday night, we do it. We start up at 5:30 on Monday, 5:30 to 7 on Monday, where we'll recap all the games from the weekend. We'll talk about what's coming up, for at the end of the week. But tonight's show is obviously recapping what happened tonight. We'll talk a little bit about what's going to happen tomorrow. By the way, be prepared for a good bit of Thursday night and Saturday night games this year. Why? Guys, there's a big-time referee shortage. Now, this has been rumored and been talked about for the last couple of years. But I don't know how many of you saw the story I wrote recently on the challenges that Georgia high school game officials face. And I talked to three guys with over 100 years combined experience. Phil Salter, a white hat. Bobby Willis, white hat. And Big Mike Gammons, a white hat. By the way, the white hat, that's the crew chief. Those are the guys who have been around the longest. They're the most experienced. They're the most knowledgeable. So I think I got three good ones to talk to you about. But anyway, they said that their biggest concern was the average age of the Georgia high school official this year is, I think, 62. Look, that's not a good. You got to get some younger guys. That's the average age. That means it's a lot of these older referees are about to go bye-bye. No, not bye-bye. No way. I mean, they're about to leave the game of officiating. So you got to get some of these new referees in here. But, man, let me tell you, they make it hard. These referees, did y'all know that these referees have to buy their own uniform, have to buy their own equipment. They got to pay for their own training. Your travel expense comes out of your pocket. You get reimbursed for it. But there's a lot of challenges, I think. They're not making it easy on themselves, is the officials associations. But to be honest with you, I'm shocked that there's not more shortages than there are across the state. Look at it. What, you got to have 6 officials for every game? Look how many games there are. Anyway, you're going to probably see a lot more of these games being played on Thursday and Saturday in addition to Friday night because, again, you got a referee shortage, so you got to double up. Referees that are refereeing on Friday night are going to have to referee on Saturday and do it on Thursday as well. All right. Let's see what else we got, guys. Checking out Blessed Trinity 51-7 over Tri-Cities. No surprise there. Daniel James Creekside just scored to take a 35-28 lead on Rome after being down 21-0 in the first quarter. Wow. I don't know. I love John Reed. One of those two state championships as soon as he left Tift County. Remember that? He was at Tift County and they didn't do what they needed to do to take care of him. So they let him go. And he left, goes to Rome. I think the second and third year he wins back-to-back state championships. But it just seems like can't quite get over that hump. Now, this is the first game of the year. Remember, this game last year did not happen. They had the awful, tragic bus accident. You guys remember that? Rome was on their way to Creekside. Oh, wait a minute. I think Rome may have been on their way to a game, a preseason scrimmage the week before, I think is what happened. But you guys may remember that there were some players hurt, coaches were hurt, and they had to cancel the game against Creekside, understandably. But good to see that that's behind them. It's all about priorities. Glad everybody's healthy and glad they're able to play the game. Right now, though, looks like Creekside, according to Daniel James, has got this one. Has got the lead of this one by a touchdown. Daniel, how much time is left in that game, by the way, Rome and Creekside? Michael Lotta. What's up, Michael? Michael Lotta checking in. What's up, my man? Cole Moore checking in. It looks like Monroe got on the board, didn't they, Cole? Cole Moore, Thomas County Central. Cole, how about Tift County coming from behind and getting that win? Don't know if you heard about that or not. Calvin McGord. Calvin, what's up, my man? I enjoyed talking to Calvin earlier today. Calvin is Mr. Valdosta Wildcat. Now, you guys know I anoint a top number one fan for every team. Okay? And for Valdosta, it's Calvin McGirt. Calvin, thanks so much for checking out the show. Calvin and I talked today. I asked him to please check in and to give me an update. And Calvin has stuck to his word, like he's a man of his word. I know that. So Calvin tells me that Valdosta up on Tucker 63-19. There's a couple of minutes left to go in the game. Cats are playing a lot of freshmen, ninth graders on offense and defense. Look, Valdosta and Lowndes are playing yawners tonight. Let's face it. Valdosta playing Tucker. Lowndes is playing with Jenkins. Oh, somebody wake me up when they're over. I mean, look. I really believe that it doesn't make a difference. People talk about how you play these soft games and it doesn't really get you ready for the season. I think it was Earl Brooks who had posted, like Thomas County Central's opponents when they won the state championship game won the state championship in they won at 6A or 5A. Anyway, they won the state championship and they had one of the softer schedules that year. So I think if you got the team, you got the team. If you got the talent, you got the talent. Just as simple as that. All right, let me know, guys, if you're checking out the show. Here's what I usually ask. Let me know where you're checking out the show from. Okay? Let me know where you're checking out the show from and who your team is. Those two things, not always the same. Chris Sellers, this is great, Mr. Jones. I love this. Chris, thank you for that, man. I appreciate that. Got off to a bit of a rocky start, but don't we always? But it seems like we've gotten past that now. Basically, what happens if I lose the Wi-Fi feed, I have to go reconnect. So let me knock on wood. Hope that don't happen again. All right, Michael. Boy, really pulling for my man, Adam Clack. Remember, he's the one that built Milton into the program that they are today. Do you guys know that Milton was really, really bad? Hard to believe, isn't it? They were a really bad team for a number of years. In fact, there was a number of years where they were 0-10, 0-10, 0-10. I mean, they were terrible. In fact, I think last year they finally had enough wins where it put them at 500 overall. In other words, they had so many bad seasons, winless seasons, 0-10, 1-9, that they just now have gotten that program back even, wins and losses overall. You believe that? We're talking about Milton. So, yeah, there was a lot of bad football, but that's what I'm saying. Adam Clack came in. He turned the ship around, turned the whole program around. And he is the reason that they really are such a powerhouse program now. And of course, he leaves. Adam Clack does. He actually went over to NFL Europe, I believe it was, and did some coaching there at the professional level. And hey, listen, Adam Clack is a Renaissance man. You know, he's got an academy, I think, that teaches coaches. He's one of the best guys. He's one of the best. He still has this a little teaching academy that he does on the side in addition to coaching Parkview. But when Parkview hired Adam Clack, I sent a text to Charlotte. I think it's Charlotte Atkins is her name, athletic director. I told her, I said, well, you got to hit a home run hiring Adam Clack. Now, Parkview, once proud football program, yeah, they've suffered a little bit. They're nothing like the Parkview of the Jeff Rancour days and, winning the state championship. Man, they rallied behind one of the most prolific home field advantages in high school football in the state of Georgia. The Big Orange Jungle is what they call their home stadium there in, where's that, Lilburn, at Parkview High School. The Big Orange Jungle. They call it that for a reason. It gets crazy. But Parkview took a slide back. And then you had, I'm not sure who all they had in there, but you got Adam Clack now, who was hired to rebuild Parkview. It'll take him a year. Not sure they'll get it done this year, but you never know with Adam. They'll be improved, I can tell you that. You know, it's kind of like what Jeff Littleton's done at Tift County. Look, it had a 2-8 record last year, and you may say, well, what was different? They were 2-8 the year before he got there. Well, there was a big difference. I can promise you that. Ask any of the parents on that team if there was any difference. So anyway, sometimes progress isn't necessarily measured in wins and losses. I know that sounds nuts. I get it. But just sometimes you have to peel back the banana or the onion, whatever you call it, peel back the layers and see that there's a little bit more beneath the surface when you're trying to reestablish a once proud program. Both of those fit, obviously, for Tift County and Parkview. And that's just a couple of examples. I'll tell you another one is Peachtree Ridge. Now, I don't know what they're doing tonight. I think my buddy Peachtree Ridge is playing. Matt Helmrich is going to Roswell. See if anybody's got anything on that. Peachtree Ridge, Roswell. Peachtree Ridge was a powerhouse program. It was there, Peachtree Ridge. In fact, I think it was Peachtree Ridge and Roswell who tied for the state championship. 13-13, I believe, was the score. And it was because of that the GHSA instituted no more ties in state title games. We're going to overtime until somebody wins it. So, true story. Now, I'm pretty sure that was Peachtree Ridge and Roswell who were playing tonight that had tied co-state champions. How would you like that in your locker? Or I'm sorry, in your trophy room? We're number one. I'll never forget watching that game, guys. Watching that state championship game. I'll never forget this. Yeah, the game's over. And normally after a state championship game, what do you have? You got one team that's celebrating like crazy. You got the other team that's shaking their head. You know, your cameraman will focus in on the kid who's laying there, on the grass crying or whatever. Well, this was the scene after that game where you had the players from both teams just walking around in a stupor. If you can look it up, and my gosh, in this day and age of, everything's on YouTube, even going back a few years, even before the days of YouTube, I bet you can find some old highlights of what I'm talking about. It was the state championship game between Peachtree Ridge and Roswell. I believe it was Roswell. Pretty sure it was. Anyway, they tied 13-13. And both teams were just like stunned. What do we do? Do we celebrate? They really didn't. So anyway, thought I'd throw a little bit of a trivia in there for you for two teams that that was the last time state championship game ended in a tie. GHSA said no more of that. But those two teams also play into tonight. But anyway, all right, Mike Sorensen is giving us an update on Thomasville, Brooks County. Thomasville 28. Wait a minute. No. All right, Mike. So I want to get clarification. So I've seen two different things here. So Mike is telling me Brooks 28-0 over Thomasville. Now I had saw where Thomasville had a pretty big lead in that game. So let me know what the real deal is there, brother. All right. If you got any more scores, guys, let me know. Brooks Carter sending me some updates here. Westover 28-20 over Early County. Southwest Georgia Academy 36, Terrell Academy 14. David Emanuel 16, Baker County 8, a 2-hour lightning delay. So I take that back. I thought most of these weather delays were up in the north part of the state, but apparently there were some in Southwest Georgia as well. Okay, I'm looking for something on Marietta, Gainesville. Any update on that? I think the last thing I had was Gainesville up comfortably, but let me know about that. In case you missed it, Tiff County gets the win on Griffin. Come from behind. Tiff County actually led in that game. Then they got behind. But last I heard anyway, Tifton was up 35-31. Somebody let me know if that's going final. TCC easily over the Monroe Golden Tornadoes. Again, trying to get an update on that Thomasville Brooks game. Coffee 28-14 on Bainbridge. That's final. Carrollton defeated Woodward Academy tonight. I'm not really surprised. I am surprised at how the margin of victory. Wasn't sure how Carrollton was going to be, again, without Juju Lewis. They get the young man, though. Where did he come down from? South Carolina, I believe it was. Grayson Collins Hill. Let me know what you guys got on that. Again, that was one of the games that was delayed by weather. So looking for an update on that one. Okay, Daniel James giving me an update on Creekside Rome, 35-28. Into the third quarter. Creekside has a 3rd and 2 from their own 47-yard line. That's to start the fourth quarter. Daniel, you're right. That's a big sequence coming up. Indeed, it is. 3rd and 2 from their own 47. Now, if they don't make it here, Daniel, do they go for it? Inquiring minds want to know. Real quick, so games tomorrow, you got Houston County and Brookwood. Again, that's part of the Corky Kill Classic. Corky Kill Dave Hunter Classic. Who you guys got in that one, by the way? I tell you, it's interesting. Houston County. No, they lose A.J. Hill, 4-year starter. And you got a couple of guys I think who are going to see playing time. I'll tell you who the starter is in a minute. Again, Jeremy Edwards, one of several coaches, again, that I'm hosting the coaches shows for this year, doing the Houston County Coach Show. He's the first guy up every Monday morning. But Jeremy Edwards tells me he's got a couple of guys that are quarterbacking. Anyway, they look really good in their scrimmage game against Crisp County. But this is going to be a little bit different situation with Houston County and Brookwood. By the way, these are under the big top tomorrow. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the Dome, I should say. So Houston County and Brookwood are going to kick things off at 1 o'clock. Then you got Walton and McEachern. Well, that's going to be a good one. By the way, McEachern is one of my 5 teams to watch. One of my 5 teams to watch. Earlier in the year, I put together a watch out for these 5 teams. What was it? My 5 dark horse teams. That's right. McEachern was one. Kell was one. Cambridge was one. And I'm trying to remember who my other 2 were. By the way, Kell looked really good. Had a big win. Was it Wednesday? I believe they played in the Corky Kell. Man, don't you love the Corky Kell Classic and the Dave Hunter or Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic with these games now starting the season off on a Wednesday? That's pretty neat. Guys, let me know. All right, Cole Moore giving me an update on that Thomasville Brooks game. All right, so I told you we'd had had basically 2 different scores. I had heard that Brooks was winning. Another update had Thomasville winning. So my man Cole Moore tells me that it's Thomasville up on Brooks 28-7. You guys surprised about that? I'm a little bit surprised. Okay, Mike Sorensen tells me 19-0 Gainesville over Marietta at the half. Look, by the way, Roster Sutherland, if you're in here, man, talk to me. Look, Marietta goes over to Osborne last week, and they pretty easily defeated the Cardinal. And, man, they got everybody in Marietta hyped up, and man, we're gonna win the state. Not quite that bad, okay? I'm exaggerating just a little. But, look, after you've had, what, a 2-8 season, back-to-back 2-8 seasons, I believe Marietta had. There's reason for excitement. There's reason to have, high expectations. Cameron Duke was hired again to take over Marietta. Look, great facilities, one of the best stadiums I've ever been to. Probably the best press box other than Gainesville's new press box. Now, that thing is unmatched. Anyway, you've got Cameron Duke coming in and just really getting everybody fired up, excited. Again, the game at Osborne, where they blew away an overmatched Osborne team, and that got everybody excited about tonight's opener at Gainesville. But you got to temper it just a little. And look, if it's only 19-0 at a half, that game's still within reach. So who am I to start talking that the game's over? I'm not. But I do want to caution Marietta fans. Listen, if you can hold that thing, if you can hold that to like right where it's at now, 19 points, I take that, guys. Last year, that was what? I think 41-3 at Marietta. Okay? It's baby steps, guys. Take the little victories where you can. And that don't always mean in the victory column, if that makes sense. By the way, guys, Cole Moore, thanks for the update on that. Thomasville 28-7. Cole, where is that game? I mean, I say where is it at? Where is it at in terms of the point in the game? Is it halftime, third quarter? Again, for some of you that may not know, we had a lot of weather delays up at the north part of the state. So some of these games are still early, fairly early in their game. Michael Baxter says, doesn't Walton play in the Corky Kell Classic every year? Seems like it. I think, let's see. I think Marietta, well, McEachern does, I know, because they were, that was one of the first schools. That's where Jimmy Dorsey was at. And McEachern is kind of, what do you call one of the gosh, I don't know, kind of, I guess one of their grandfathered in, for lack of a better word. So I think as long as the Corky Kell Dave Hunter Classic goes on, McEachern's always going to be there. Again, they're kind of the home school, if you will. Again, that's just because of the legacy of Jimmy Dorsey. He's the one that kickstarted. And I think Walton was another. I think that was the other team guy, Michael. I think it was Walton and McEachern who were the first two teams who agreed to start playing a showcase event. I remember Dave Hunter. I think it was Dave Hunter, Jimmy Dorsey. One of the two was in very ailing health, bad health, and went to the other. Again, I apologize. I can't remember which one was, but said, hey, keep it going. Keep this game, the Corky Kell, going. And again, I think this is Corky Kell and Dave Hunter talking. It kind of sounds odd, when you say it like that. These are the guys that actually have the conversation. But anyway, that's how this whole thing started. They wanted to have a warm-up game, showcase game. Guys, let me say something about that too, real quick. And we'll get back to the scores here. Look, I applaud I.J. Rosenberg and Score Atlanta. He's the gentleman that really puts on the Corky Kell Classic. Okay. Same one of this, you guys can see. So you've got I.J. Rosenberg, who does a really good job of putting the Corky Kell on. It has grown. He's got a lot of sponsors. It's really become a big, big thing. Even, it seems to get bigger every year. With the exception, though, of South Georgia teams. And look, I get it. I think the teams have to sell, well, I know they do. They have to sell a minimum number of tickets. They have to guarantee a minimum number of ticket sales. And if you don't hit that number, well, you're going to write a check. I mean, that's the equivalent. You're either going to get the funding owed to the Corky Kell for being a participant team. You're going to have to pay them a check either through the ticket sales or a check written to the Corky Kell. So I can tell you the last time, I think it was Lowndes, that was really a South Georgia team. Had to write a pretty big check to Corky Kell because they didn't sell the allotted number of tickets. I want to tell you, it takes, as I say, it takes about one time for that to happen, and that's exactly what it took for Danny Redshaw and the Lowndes program to say, hey, I don't think we're doing this anytime soon. So my point being that I understand sort of the financial part of it, why you hadn't had a South Georgia team. I get it. South Georgia fans, it's a long way to drive. But I say all that to say the southern part of the state really needs a showcase event. We've had it before. Speaking of Lowndes, they've had, this event before. It was the South Georgia Classic. I think they had the South Georgia Florida Classic where they had Plant High School from down in, Orlando area. So they've had it done, they've done it before. They used to have the South Georgia Classic over in Camden County. How many of you guys remember that? I can remember Tift County going over there and playing Collins Hill and beating Collins Hill on a hot Saturday afternoon. I remember that because I was there. Tift County won it 7-3. And I'm just kind of curious, again, I know it all comes down to money. I get that. And of course, if you forego a home game to participate in these showcase events, that's a big no-no. Yeah, all teams want to capitalize on their home attendance, i.e. ticket sales. And I get it. But I'd love to see maybe some kind of balance And because I really like these, I really like these early season showcase events, which even though Corky Kell does not truly have a Southern Georgia team, and please don't tell me it's Houston County, that's Middle Georgia. But again, I'm not knocking it. They do a good job with it. I.J. Rosenberg does a really good job with it. I don't want anybody to think that I'm not praising it, because I am. He does a really good job. I think it's a selfish thing. As a football fan that lives in the southern part of the state, I'd love to see a South Georgia team be a part of it. What do you guys think about that? Again, I know it's just some isolated chatter real quick from while we look up some more scores. All right, Mike Sorensen giving me an update. Thomasville 35-7 on Brooks. Now, has that gone final, Mike? Gotta be honest with you. I thought that would be closer. And I'm gonna look up my pick 7 or my pick 6. Because I had the Buford Milton game right. In terms of, I picked 21-20 Milton. Oh, I'm sorry, Buford to win. 21-20. Buford won it. I think it was 2013. What the final, guys? Daniel James giving me an update. Daniel says Creekside scores on a touchdown pass. Creekside 41-28 over Rome. 10:23 left in the game. Daniel says, hey, Rome needs to answer on this drive. Indeed, they do. Who's the Creekside quarterback? What is that young man's name? He's a good one. And by the way, who else agrees with me that Milton, albeit in a losing effort, Milton has found their quarterback, guys. That was the concern all off season. Who can replace Luke Nickel? Well, I'll tell you. His name is Derek Baker. And from what I saw last night, I get it. They didn't win the game. I think Derek had, 2-3 interceptions maybe? But, by the way, there was some talk about Ben Reeves, and I don't think it was justified, with some clock mismanagement. I don't think that was the case at all. I think if what I'm hearing is right, if you had Derek Baker had the issues with his hand, with his throwing hand, then that probably explains why you had the decision making that Ben Reeves was taking last night. That's just my take. Look, the guy has led Milton to a couple of state championships back to back, trying to go for 3 in a row. Speaking of several state championship games in a row, I'm looking for an update on Bowden. And I'll be honest with you, now this one is a shocker. Is it Bowden Fellowship Christian? Is that who I've got? Bowden Fellowship Christian. Last I had on that was 20-0 Fellowship Christian. That was in the second. Jamal Choice says, I was at that game. Which game was that, brother? Greg Hammock says that Milton's quarterback hurt his wrist. Something serious is wrong. Oh, no. Really? Man, I hate to hear that. I did not know how serious the injury was. Wow. Greg Hammock. I'm sorry. Greg says Milton's quarterback hurt his wrist. Something serious is wrong. Man, that's not good. I thought maybe it was just some little, like he got dinged on his hand or something. But now, Greg, you're saying it's a little bit more serious than that. Sounds like it's a lot more serious than that. Not good. And somebody here just added Judge Jamal Choice. Jamal, this is pretty good. Jamal says he can't run like that all season, or it's going to be a long season. And I guess what he's saying, what Jamal is implying, is that you start putting your head down, trying to run over some of these big guys, you're going to get hurt. And I get it. Listen, I saw Luke Nickel do that. And I'm not trying to compare, say that one is like the other, but both are big boys. They got good size. Look, that's just the football player in them. they're going to become ball carriers if there's nobody to throw the footballs to. They're going to pull it down and run it and try to run somebody over. But you do have to suffer the consequences. I agree 100% with you, Jamal. It's a great observation, by the way, brother. Appreciate that. Okay, Daniel James gives me an update here on Rome, Creekside. Creekside has struck again. And that might do it. I don't know how much time is left in the game. Daniel, maybe you can update me on that. Daniel says Creekside 48-28. Okay, so now you've got a 20-point lead. That game's got to be getting late. So let me know how we're doing on time there. Oh, okay. Jamal said he was at the Milton Buford game. I got you. Jamal, give me your take on it since you were there. Give me some feedback. Talk about the crowd. Did Milton bring a lot? I mean, I know they did. I mean, was it 50-50 or was it dominated by Buford fans? Let me know what you think about the stadium. Of course, we were there. We did a big tour of the stadium. By the way, big thanks to my buddy Tony Wolf. Tony is, I know he was a long-time athletic director there. I enjoy a great relationship with Tony Wolf. And I appreciate him as a friend and really, allows us to really interact with the Buford football program, in which we went up there and shot some video, shot a nice documentary type video on Buford's new stadium. Check it out if you guys get a chance. It's a part of what we do here, guys, at ITG Next. By the way, we also have a newsletter, guys. I encourage you guys to check it out. I encourage you guys to subscribe. Doesn't cost you a dime. It'll come to your email inbox. I think it's twice a week during football season. You guys will love it. So go to itgnextgeorgia.com and go to our website. You can see where you can subscribe to the newsletter. All right, so excuse me, guys. Daryl Brett tells me that Valdosta has gone final on Tucker, 63-19. Again, yawn. Come on, guys. I mean, that's second year of the 2-year contract, and I hope that Valdosta can find a better opponent. No, sorry, no offense to Tucker. Those two teams have no business being on the field with each other. Has anybody got anything on the Benedictine Colquitt game? Looking for Colquitt Benedictine. Last I heard, it was tied. Adam Glover tells me that Ola has defeated Trinity Christian 34-28. Adam, thank you for that. Ola is one of these teams going to be. They were the quarterfinal team last year. They could surprise. Daryl Britt also, thank you, Daryl. Great to hear from you, brother. Daryl Britt tells me that Thomasville has defeated Brooks County 35-7. Well. Didn't who won that last year? Who won that game last year? Didn't Thomasville win it? Somebody let me know. I think Thomasville won that game last year. If that's the case. That's just back to back. Wow. 35-7, Thomasville all over Brooks. Man. Well, I'm a little surprised. Not that, I mean, those are two great teams, guys. Don't get me wrong. Thomasville, Brooks. But I just thought Brooks would hold that one a little bit tighter. Apparently not. Man. Colquitt wins on a last-second field goal to shock Benedictine. 27-24. Are you kidding me? Wow. Congratulations to Sean Calhoun and the Colquitt County Packers I think I picked Benedictine to win that one. And again, we did the Colquitt County Coaches Show this week, and Sean Calhoun admitted, said, "Hey man, everybody's picking us to lose. We're the underdog." And here's the thing about why this is so important, guys, on this last second field goal. Greg, can you tell me how far away it was? Let me tell you why that's important. Some of you may already know where I'm going with this. This is the first time that Colquitt County has sent out somebody with a different last name than Fitzgerald. Think about this. For the last 8 years, either Brett or Ryan Fitzgerald, the Fitzgerald brothers, one of those two, the last 8 years, as freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. Okay? 8 straight years of Fitzgerald boys kicking the football. Not anymore. And I'll be honest with you. Look at the Colquitt County Coaches Show that I did with Sean Calhoun. Watch his reaction when I ask him, when I get to the point of asking him about, the kicker situation. I'm just laughing because Sean, he wanted to climb under the table. Yeah. He took and he pulled his jacket, whatever he was wearing, over his face. Almost embarrassed to talk about it. Well, you know what? That young man, whomever it is, has got the last laugh. At least for now. I don't know how far away the field goal was. Would like to know. But Greg tells me that the Colquitt wins last second field goal 27-24. How about that? Wow. Guys, what some great football we've had tonight, right? It's our first night of our Friday night extra point scoreboard show. Going to be doing this every Friday night, guys, from 10 to 12. We hope you like it. We hope that you guys will come back. Adam Estes, thank you for that, brother. Colquitt wins by 3. Great to hear from you. Always great to hear from you, brother. Adam Glover tells us, yep, just saw a walk-off field goal from Colquitt. How about that? All right, looking at your comments coming in. Lefty Guest says Troy Trojans lost big. Who are you talking about? Who's that? Can you help me out on that? So everybody getting in on the Colquitt County last second field goal. I love it. Congratulations. I'm going to be very honest with you. I'm pretty sure I picked Benedictine to win that game. That is huge for Sean Calhoun, guys. Big time. Big time win. That is not to be overstated how big that win was. Some of you maybe well, why? Why was it so big, Phil? I mean, they're non-region opponents. I get that. But look, there's been a lot of question marks surrounding Colquitt County this offseason. Remember, Cohen Lawson, freshman quarterback, well, not freshman anymore, but he got hurt. And he got hurt, and a lot of people were wondering, it wasn't that bad. I think he missed a couple of games, or anyway. A lot of people were just not quite sure, I guess, how much he had recovered, and with the assumption that he took all the snaps tonight. I think, again, those questions have been answered. So you see where we're going here, guys? You see this this common theme that we've got with all of these teams? You got the quarterback situation. Is it hurting? By the way, let's go to Brooks Thomasville for a second. Speaking of quarterbacks. Now, I don't, you have to look what we get on social media sometimes with a grain of salt. But I believe this was pretty accurate. I hope it was. Somebody can enlighten me. So Brooks County, you had Junior Burris. Young man led Brooks to a state championship game last year. Young man has pretty much done everything that Coach Bay father in Brooks County has asked of him. So I hear, now and again, I want to stress, this is hearsay. I don't know how accurate it is, but I had heard where Junior Burris had some competition this year when you had Bryce Puckett transferred in from Cairo to Brooks County. Okay. Apparently, the deal was that the family wanted to move closer to Valdosta for their daughter, who would have been Bryce Puckett's sister, to go to VSU, so they'd be closer. Well, apparently, I guess that didn't work out, from what I'm hearing, and that Bryce Puckett left and went back to Cairo. Still, Brooks County got to get a quarterback. But for the most part, it's just, the one in Junior Burris. Now, again, this is what I'm trying to piece together here. May not have had anything at all to do with what happened tonight against Thomasville. I think Thomasville is that good. I do. By the way, that's a big, big win for the Thomasville Bulldogs. Cam Hill, speaking of quarterbacks, guy is Mr. Everything for them. Yeah, I'm just going to have to talk to Josh McFarland and just kind of get his take on where they're at, kind of where their mindset is. Because I am a little surprised they lost like that. I mean, you got George Lamons. I hope I'm saying his last name right. George, of course, we know, top 5 receiver, probably one of the best in the state. No, he's not probably, he is. So you got Brooks County, Junior Burris, quarterback. Now, you don't have Chris Cole. I get it. Running back. But, man, they've got some stud athletes. So I'm actually a lot surprised at that score. Thomasville winning it with such ease. How about that, guys? Man, there's some surprises. Anybody got anything on Fellowship Christian and Bowden? Now, the last I heard, Fellowship Christian was up 20-0. Talk about shocker. Let me know if anybody's got any update on that one. All right, let me update the folks here. Wow. Ware County all over Appling, 55-7. Goodness gracious. Lyric Baker. Goodness gracious, man. Again, I'm not surprised that Ware beat Appling, but I am surprised at 55-7. Could be a long season for Appling. Could be a long season for Irwin. If you tuned in late, I started the show off talking about Irwin losing tonight pretty bad. And I mentioned how I did not rank Irwin in my preseason top 10. I saw where they had, when I was looking at the team, they lost everybody from last year. I mean, a ton of starters. Now, I don't have those in front of me now, but I did because that's how I put together my top 10, preseason top 10. I'll go and look and see, well, who's coming back? Who's not? And against Irwin County, or with Irwin County, they lost everybody. And I remember looking at that thinking, there's no way I'm going to rank them as a top 10 team. Yes, I caught a lot of flack for it. I think a lot of people will, rank preseason ranked teams based on name only. Well, they are a big-time program, so you cannot leave them out. Oh, you want to bet? Because, again, I'm going off of the players you're returning. So that was my decision. That was my rationale for Irwin. Now, hey, they could come back and turn around the season. And if they do, they get back in the, or they get into the top 10. That's a lot of ifs, though. If. Right now, they didn't answer, not necessarily answer the bell. And I also mentioned this earlier in case you missed it. If anytime I see a big-time veteran coach leave, look, may not have anything to do with why Irwin County's coach left. May not have anything to do with it. But usually, When you see a long-time veteran head coach of a successful program up and just leave for not necessarily a better paying job, or that's usually a telltale sign that they're probably not going to be as good as they have been. Hence, that's why the coach leaves. That's my assessment of the whole situation, and I'm going to stand behind it. But I can tell you, I did not rank Irwin in the top 10. Again, they get beat pretty bad tonight. Wish them all the best. Just football, guys. What we have to do. That's the way, it's the way I rank. That's the way I rank the teams. Wow. Stephen K. Wynn gives me an update. Now, this is a shocker. Fellowship Christian Academy is 26-0 on Bowden in the third. Wow. Now, look, just as I'm sitting here acting like Mr. Crystal Ball, explaining to you my Irwin pick, or non-pick as it is, I'm quickly humbled by the fact that Bowden is getting it handed to him by Fellowship Christian. Because I've been all over Bowden. I rank Bowden as a top 10 overall team. Just recently, I ranked the top 10 schools in Georgia, football programs, regardless of classification. I just went, here's the best, here's the next best, throughout the classification. I don't want to see them. And I had put Bowden in that top 10. You know what? One game does not make or break a season. However, that's shocking to me. Look, not taking anything away from Fellowship Christian, but Jamal Choice says TCC's in the house, Phil. What's up, Jamal? How you doing, brother? All right. Look at here. My man, Deron Jones, Anchor Moore. How many names you got, brother? What's up? And it's good to see some of you folks back. Have missed the conversation. Remember, guys, I'm here every Monday and going to be here, of course, now every Friday. Friday, 10 o'clock. It's Extra Point with yours truly, Phil Jones, every Friday night, 10 o'clock. We're going to go to midnight, keep you up to speed on what's happening around the state. All right, Andrew Rowland tells me that Clinch County 25-6 over Bacon. Jim Dickerson just keeps rocking and rolling, doesn't he? Yeah, Jamal, Thomas County Central 56-7 over Monroe. Boy, they had a real tough time, didn't they? Not Travie Trey, or is it Travie Trey? Lee County is that final, by the way. Lee County 45-7 over Warner Robins. I'm assuming that is. I mentioned also, by the way, that this is the first game, Lee County, Warner Robins, that we have not live streamed. Been doing that for a while now. As far as Lee County and Warner Robins for what, the last 4 years? Somebody help me out with that. I think this is year number 4 that Lee County and Warner Robins have played each other. To open the season, I mean. And we have been there until now. We've been there for every game. Season opener. Lee County, Warner Robins. Lee County, Warner Robins. Interesting. So Lee County wins at 45-7. Guys, look out for Lee. Look out. Lee County, Thomas County Central. Yikes. Zach Hancock, big Tift County fan. Zach, I'm with you there. I grew up as a Tift County Blue Devil fan. Excuse me, guys. It's an hour and a half straight talking, man. It starts to wear the vocal cords down, but I'm hanging in there. Tift County, 35-31. Now, Zach, are you saying that Griffin's quarterback is hard to stop? That's interesting. Tiff County, this game went back and forth. Guys, again, man, this is, I'm telling you, this is the Jeff Littleton factor. Jeff Littleton leads his 2018 leads his 2018 Bainbridge team to the, what was it, 4A state title. Remember, they get that big win that year Bainbridge does over Buford. And that set them on the way. I think that was maybe a quarterfinal or a semifinal win. But nevertheless, it was a big win. And it set Bainbridge on the way. That's the kind of coach Jeff Littleton is. You want to talk about Tiff County hitting a home run, to use some baseball vernacular on Jeff Littleton? I mean, that's the Jeff Littleton factor. He said on the coach's show, I do the coach show now every week with Jeff Littleton. He said, hey, look, he said Griffin's going to be much improved over the team. He was warning Tiff County fans. Remember, Tiff County goes up 2. Griffin last year, it was Jeff Littleton's very first game. They put a whipping on Griffin last year, 41-0, I think it was. This year, he says, hey, look out. They're better. And if we're not ready, they're going to beat us. Well, almost happened. However, in the end, game went back and forth. Tiff County got the lead, and then they secured the deal with an interception. Man, that's exciting. Zach, thanks so much for giving me that update. So that is Griffin's quarterback, though, you're mentioning. How about that? Yeah, Tiff County, though, is they got a, by the way, speaking of quarterback, Tiff County's got a good one. Damian Dixon. We did the Lee County or the Tiff County Colquitt game last year at Tiff County. Now, Colquitt won, but I left that game a big time believer in Damian Dixon for Tiff County. Heck of a quarterback, Damian Dixon. And that's who I thought you were talking about, but apparently it was the Griffin quarterback. Jamal Choice, just say you hate TCC, Phil. No, I don't. I don't. I do not. Absolutely do not. No way, man. I don't want to hear anybody. I mean, I don't want to hate anybody. I do not, that I do not have hate. I don't have room for hate, man, in my heart. Absolutely not, man. I'm trying to do things that God can be proud of me for, and that's not one of them if you're a hater. So I try to stay away from all the hateful language on social media too, guys. Got to keep it above board, man. That's kind of me. That's kind of how I am. So no hate for Thomas County Central, brother. All right. Let's see here. Trying to see here. Daniel James gives me the update. Okay. So we kind of thought that was going to go the way with Creekside winning over Rome 48-28. That's a tough loss for Rome, man. Remember, again, they had that terrible accident last year. Did Rome. I think that was the week before they were supposed to play Creekside. They never got a chance to play it. So they do this year, but albeit in a losing fashion. Looks like Creekside's going to be pretty good, guys. Who's the quarterback they got? He's good. Very good. So Creekside. So, wow. Daniel says they were down 21-0. How about that? Incredible, man. Incredible. Larry L. Baker says, Thomas County Central and Buford, I swear, would have been a barn burner had they been on the same schedule. That would have been a GPB paid ESPN. Listen, Obadiah Farley, I want an update on Marist. I'm going to get that for you. Mike Sorensen says Marist plays tomorrow. Well, there you go. I didn't have to go looking for it. Stephen K. Wynn says Noel Dean was speaking highly of the Dixon kid becoming a good quarterback at Tift. Imagine that. Hard to imagine. Not that Stephen K. Wynn is my buddy, and he helps me out so much on things. And I say this kind of joking, Stephen. Hard for me to believe that Noel Dean has anything good to say about Tift County. Not a good ending to that relationship. Mylan Blosser says Valdosta and Lowndes both won big. They did. They did indeed. There's my man Alan Clanton checking in. Alan, I was wondering where you were at, man. Said he just made it in from the Lowndes game. Alan, so that was a big time nail biter. No, it wasn't. Oh man, just kidding. How was the crowd there at the Concrete Palace, though? I bet it was a big turnout, right? Look, I think Lowndes is going to be. I've got Lowndes and Valdosta both in my preseason top 10. By the way, guys, we ITG Next is honored for the second straight year. We are our top 10. I'll submit our top 10 in addition to our standalone top 10 that we post every week. But we were invited, was ITG Next, to be a part of what they call the composite top 10 rankings. You guys see that every week. And that composite ranking comes from ITG, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, AJC, and Georgia High School Football Daily. That's the newsletter that they put out every morning. Max Preps, Maxwell Ratings, that's Lauren Maxwell, and Georgia, I think it's a Coach Choice, I believe is the name of it is. It must be like a coaches association. Anyway, so there's 6 of us that we all submit our top 10. I'm sorry, Score Atlanta is the other one. Score Atlanta. 680 The Fan is another one. I'm missing out a couple here. So anyway, we all put together and submit our top 10s. And from that, you get what's called the composite rankings. It's basically taking everybody's top 10, mixing it up, and seeing what the commonalities are. I can tell you to a man, everybody, we pretty much had Grayson as the number 1 team, I think, in the state. That's in 6A. 5A, we had a little bit of disagreement there. I had Milton as the top team. I had Thomas County Central second. But anyway, you guys check it out. That's where our composite rankings, that's where the composite rankings come from. We are a part of that. And again, we have, of course, we post our standalone top 10. Then I take care of that for the company. ITG Next top 10. Chandler Howe. Howe. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name up there, Chandler. Chandler asked, you think TCC can compete with Buford? 100%, man. I think TCC can compete with anybody. I think Thomas County Central I think they're going to have a great chance for a state title this year. I really believe that. Thomas County Central's tough, man. Very tough. Maybe Rogers' best team since he had there. And I know I keep saying that a lot, but I said that about Lee County, but I really believe they are. But yes, Chandler, I do believe that they are. Mylan Blosser says Buford's new stadium is nicer than Georgia Tech's. Maybe. Not really, but it's nice. Yeah, look, I think, and I've said this before, I think 5A is the toughest classification in the state from top to bottom. Okay. I think Thomas County Central, in my opinion, I think they may be the best team in 5A. But yeah, I do think that, no doubt about it, Thomas County Central could go toe to toe with them. 5A is going to be interesting, though. Yeah, I think Milton's going to be there when it's all said and done in 5A. I think Coffee, guys, look out for Coffee. I think Coffee, Mike Coe's got a young team. But I was talking about the Jeff Littleton factor earlier. There's also the Mike Coe factor. Mike Coe's got this way of pulling out the best in kids. And my goodness, look at what the running back did last year. What was his name, guys? Woodridge. What was his name? Help me out. Somebody help me out. Woodgate. Ty Woodgate. My man rushes for 700 yards in that playoff game against Sequoia. It was a state record. And he was one of the main reasons that Coffee went to the semifinals last year. So, yeah, I think that Coffee's going to be right there. No Tyrone Woodgate this year, but you do have KJ DeBruce. That's the secret. Milton is finding quarterbacks. Coffee, as long as they keep having the man, and they've got the man at running back, KJ DeBruce this year. So I think that's what these certain teams are built on, guys. Okay. Alan Clanton says, speaking of Lounge, said it was a packed house tonight, probably due to the school kids being recognized and getting in free. Okay. Usually the local places have pretty good crowd. Now, what about Valdosta? Guys, I got to tell you, Valdosta's attendance has struggled a little bit the last few years. Don't know why. But it really has struggled. I mean, Valdosta is not there's not many home fans in attendance at the home games. I'll tell you this. Tift County did this. Valdosta did this. And what is that I'm talking about? They overbuilt their new stadium when they did the renovations. Look, Tift County, they build onto their stadium once Gene Brody comes to Tift County, leading to the state championship. And they add on to the stadium. They make the home side. They turn the visitor side into the home side. Anyway, they thought that winning would come every single year, and it did not. And now you got this huge cavernous stadium that makes it look worse than it is when you don't have the home side half full, not even close. So I think Valdosta really did the same thing. And guys, I'm not saying that it's I'm not saying that it wasn't the right thing to do. I mean, Cleveland Field, the old stadium, was old. But man, it's hard to feel Valdosta's home side now. That's hard. I mean, unless you got a championship caliber team playing, and it's just going to be almost impossible to fill that stadium, in my opinion. That's my opinion, for sure. All right. By the way, great turnout tonight, guys. Still got 20 minutes left to go in our show. We're going to be doing this every Friday night. Don't forget, Monday. Check out the show Monday, 5:30 to 7. We're going to talk about all the action from the weekend, including tomorrow's game. Houston County at Brookwood. That's going to be a good one. This is all part of the Corey Kill Dave Hunter Classic. These are back-to-back-to-back games at Mercedes-Benz. Houston County, Brookwood. You got Walton, McEachern at 4, and then the nightcap, North Gwinnett and Douglas County. I will say this. I think, and man, I hope Eric Godfrey is not watching this. Love you, Coach Godfrey, man. You've been great to us. We came up there last year and streamed the North Gwinnett Parkview game. By the way, Coach had already given me permission to come up and do the North Gwinnett Colquitt County game. But unfortunately, again, we have changed what we're doing on Friday night, so that's not going to be an option. And I will miss going up to North Gwinnett. But having said that, I think I think North Gwinnett is going to struggle a little bit this year. Coach lost a lot of guys. I mean, lost a lot. And I think that North Gwinnett, this could be a little bit of a rebuild. By the way, I've got that North Gwinnett Douglas County game as part of my pick six. And it is I've got Douglas County picked to win that one pretty big. I think I've got it 34-14. What do you guys think about that? Again, there's just some of these teams, you look, first thing I do is I'll look at how many starters they got coming back, how many seniors they graduated. Let me say this too, speaking of losing people. So you got Milton that lost like 17 starters last year. 17 out of 22. If you look at it that way, kind of an oversimplified look at the situation. But that's Milton. They lost a lot. Buford lost a lot. I was talking to Steve West from 680 The Fan out of Atlanta last night before the game. We were talking about, he was asking me who all Buford lost, who all Milton lost. I was just going down the list for Buford, boom, 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 boom. Now, those two schools, those two programs have enough depth. They have enough depth to overcome. But it's still the fact that you've got these two big programs with a lot of depth, a lot of talent. But, man, they're not the same team they were last year, meaning Buford and Milton. What do you guys think? Give me some feedback here. Marlon Blosser. Listen to this. Marlon Blosser says, I was at the 2024 Wintersville game. I drove 6 hours from North Florida to watch. The Concrete Palace was lit. Well, my goodness. Marlon, if you drove 6 hours from North Florida, where were you at? that Lounge Stadium is right across the line. Practically. Did you mean South Florida? I'm guessing you meant you were in South Florida, right? Alan Clanton, yes. Alan, looking for an update on Collins Hill Grayson. Anybody got anything on that? Alan, if you can help me out with that. How about that, Marlon? Correct that for me, though. You had to be in South Florida, not North Florida. I hope it wasn't 6 hours for you from North Florida. All right, Stephen K. Wynn tells me that Hughes won 46-21. Who did they play, Stephen? Chris Bradley, Dogs with a big win against Brooks County. I'd say so, brother. Wow. Huge win. That's big time. Marlon Blosser also says that Derek Baker kid at Milton is going to be special. Look, he is. I mentioned, I don't know if you guys saw it earlier, but I sent Ben Reeves, the head coach at Milton, I sent him a tweet this morning. I said, Coach, I think you found your quarterback. And he said, he responded with, yes, we did 1,000%. So, look, they got their guy. And I think, look, that was the big concern all off season. That was a big concern. Who's going to replace Luke Nickel? How are we going to replace him? That's not easy to do, guys. And I told you, Derek Baker, here's what gets me, guys. Derek Baker, the quarterback at Milton, and he is a dog, isn't he? And I say that with all respect. He was not even a starter at St. Thomas Aquinas. He played 16 games. He played sparingly. Now, don't get me wrong. When he played, he did well. And he was a great athlete. He was a great quarterback. That's why he's one of the highest recruited quarterbacks in the country. So I'm not trying to pour mouth, acting like he just came out of nowhere. stepped into this big role. But he was known, yes. But I would dare say that he had not played in a game the magnitude of what he played in Thursday night in Buford's new magnificent stadium. But you know what? He didn't have any stage fright, did he? Didn't seem to have any nervousness to him because, man, he came out and handled it like a pro. Did really well. Really well. So I'm with you there, Marlon. Marlon Blosser, that Derek Baker kid at Milton's going to be special. I agree with you 100%. All right, what else you guys got for me, man? Stephen K. Wynn. Who did Hughes play? I can't remember. Jamal Choice. Now they have Valdosta to share with VSU. What do you mean by that? All right, guys, still looking for something on that Collins Hill Grayson game. What you got on that? Okay, Stephen K. Wynn tells me Grayson 25-3 in the third. Ouch. Mike Sorensen, no more Bucky stops. Come on. Yeah, man. That's look. I don't know how many of you know this, but we've been doing these games of the week for the last 5 years. Yours truly, most of these games we would do North Atlanta games. We do Buford. We went to Buford every year, at least once, sometimes twice. We did get games there. We went to Collins Hill, went to Buford, went to North Gwinnett. I'm trying to remember where we went. We went last year. Anyway, went all over the place. And I would drive up, usually leave about 9:30, 10 a.m. And you may say, well, why leaving so early? Traffic, guys. You start getting into Atlanta, where we're going north of Atlanta usually to Swanee, Gainesville. It's a long hike. You start to get into those areas, man, you're going to bog down in traffic big time. So on the way back, and I always turn around after the game, turn around, drive right back. I don't stay in the hotel. Well, I also stand the whole game when I'm doing play-by-play. So say all that to say, you know what? In the game, I'm pretty tired, but I gotta buck up for a 4-hour drive back to South Georgia. So that part, I don't really. It didn't bother me though. It's pretty cool at night. The thing about it is you don't really have to deal with traffic. But I was going to talk about the way on the trip back. It was always great to stop in at Buc-ee's, the one in Warner Robins. That's when you knew you were kind of in the short rows now. I mean, you would come out of Atlanta and you were doing well and you were on your way, and that part I'm going to miss. Guys, so much fun stopping in at a Buc-ee's at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Place is as packed as it is during the day. And I'm talking about 2 a.m. People just like me, football fans, high school football fans, most of them. So, again, I will miss these Friday night rituals, and we had a lot of fun. And still going to have a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, but we're changing it up. We're going to be bringing you this Friday night extra point scoreboard show. Having a lot of fun with it. Got about 10, 11 minutes left to go in the show. Let's end it with a bang tonight. I'm a little surprised at Grayson winning as easily as they is. Well, I'm going to miss that pick six because I had picked Collins Hill in an update. Or upset. I'm sorry. Upset. So you're right, Mike Sorensen. No Bucky stops, man. Come on. You're right. Jerry Harrison, what's up, my man? Jerry Harrison from the Talking Heads. Jerry Harrison tells me Monroe area put it on Loganville. Where's Loganville? If you get it, you get it. Monroe area put it on Loganville 44-0. All right. What you got there? Talking to some of the commenters on here. All right, looking at some of the, let's see. Alan Clanton wants to know, is Griffin actually pretty good this season, or is Tiff just now quite? No, look, in the coaches show I did this past week, or this week, Alan, Coach Littleton talked about Griffin being substantially better. They got a new coaching staff. Remember, that team that Tiff County played last year, that was a young Griffin team. Okay. Plus, they just, made a coaching change. So I think it's really more so Griffin being better than it was Tiff County really, taking a back seat. I don't think that was the case at all. All right, guys, we'll see if I can get an update on some scores here for you. For those of you that missed it, so Camden County gets the big win over Brunswick tonight, 44-35 over the Golden Isles. That would have been held at Chris Gilman Stadium in Camden County in Kingsland, actually. Colquitt County, maybe the shocker of the night, they defeat Benedictine 27-24. I will tell you, we had, of course, it's kind of a moot point now. We were going to live stream the Collins Hill game tonight. We also were set up to live stream the Benedictine Buford game, which would have come, I believe, next week. So I look at some of these games and I see, where, man, we did have some big games lined up. And that's a testament to what we do here at ITG Next, guys. We strive to bring you guys the best high school football there is, no matter if it does mean getting back at the wee hours of the morning. But I tell you what, congratulations to Sean Calhoun. Coach Calhoun gets my game ball, if I had one. What a win. That's huge, guys. Big time. And hey, what do we say about that Colquitt County home field advantage, though, at MacThart? I guarantee you, I don't know anything about the game. Nothing yet. I will. How many times, though, do you think that home field has crept up and caused an opposing player to trip? Or Jeff Herron told me that the MacThart Stadium was the toughest away place to play. Think about that. You're talking about a guy who's coached all over the state, and not just Georgia. He's coached everywhere. Okay, so it's a tough place to record. Pretty interesting. Tucker, Yawn Fest. Carrollton, I don't even think this game was as close as it was, 48-21, not that it was close. Sandy Creek over East Coweta, 28-21. Okay. All right. So you got to be careful with some of these scoreboards that I get. Earlier, I had a score that reported North Cobb losing to Archer. I went on and on. I said, wow, man, that's a shocker. Didn't see that coming. Well, apparently, it wasn't true. This drives me nuts, guys. So now the updated score I'm getting on North Cobb Archer has North Cobb actually winning, which that's probably true. 28-14, North Cobb gets the win over Archer if this one was right. By the way, this is the AJC, their new varsity section they've got. It's basically the high school sports section, but it's a lot more in-depth and comprehensive. And they've got now this Friday night scoreboard. And already it's making some mistakes. So scratch what I said earlier. Got all excited about North Cobb and Archer. So North Cobb actually is the winner. All right, Grayson 25-3 in the third quarter. That's the last I've got on that one. Guys, look, I said about Lee County, Thomas County Central, maybe being better than they were last year. Maybe add to that Grayson. Norcross over Lanier 10-0. Coffee defeats Bainbridge tonight, 28-14. Perry, I think this game's going final. Perry over Baldwin. Westminster defeats Lovett 14-8. Guys, what happened? Now, is this correct? I don't even know if I want to say anything else because I just don't. Is the Bowden Fellowship Christian score correct, guys? Is that correct? 26-0 is what this scoreboard is showing. 26-0 Fellowship Christian at home defeating Bowden. What? Can somebody confirm that? Cedar Grove trying to get back to their winning ways. They do pick up the win tonight over Terrell. Or is it Terrell? LaGrange defeats Cass 27-7. Creekside over Rome 48-28. By the way, that was at Barron Stadium. I was surprised at that. All right, so that gets us caught up, I believe, on scores. Trying to think. Guys, let me ask you about this. How about Hebron Christian beating North Atlanta yesterday? Now, my buddy Alan Clanton said, hey, it was a big upset. Look, I don't get caught up a lot in how many A's your school's got in front of them. Okay? I just don't. And that's the case with Hebron Christian. It doesn't matter if you are a private. I think some people get they get mystified by the private or, single A. Guys, this apparent loss notwithstanding, Bowden is one of the strongest teams. I don't care how many A's they got in front of their name. So I'll say all that to say that be careful when you see these schools with an A in front of them, one A in front of them, one single A, or one A Division II, or guys, I'm telling you, these teams are as good as any in the state. So, but I'm surprised again that Fellowship Christian has defeated Bowden, if that is true, if that's a true score. All right, again, Buford, they get the win again last night, 20-13. West Forsyth defeats the Douglas Astros, 27-0. And that's going to get you caught up on scores from yesterday and today. All right. As we get ready to wind things down, guys, what do you think? Tell us what you thought about the show tonight. I hope you guys liked it. We got over some early technical difficulties. All right. Chuck Page is telling me that, yes, that is correct. Jenny Ledger is checking in here right before we close. Jenny, what's up, my man? Chris County. Did you guys play tonight? Mike Sorensen also is confirming that Bowden, that score is correct. Wow. Guys, that's got to be the shocker of the night right there. I'm going to give that one the official shocker of the night. Bowden not only getting whipped by Fellowship Christian, but they get upset. I mean, they get shut out, rather. Yeah, they definitely got upset. Guys, I did not see that coming at all. In fact, that's one of the biggest upsets, even going back to last year. Wow. Yeah, also, again, we had an incorrect score on North Cobb and Archer. Mike, thanks for the clarification. An earlier score had Archer 28-14 over North Cobb. That has since been rightfully changed. I thought that was like, come on, man. We got some upsets tonight, but that's crazy. So it was not what we thought. Indeed, North Cobb with Teddy Gerard coming over from North Cobb Christian, getting the win 28-14. Do we have any final, by the way, as we wind down here? Any final as we get ready to leave on Gainesville, Marietta? Mylan Blosser. Hey, great show. I'll be back next week. Georgia high school football at its best. Thank you for that, Mylan. Appreciate the kind words. All right, final one down here. Grayson 38-3 in the third. Wow. Chris loses to Sumter. All right. All right, guys, that is going to wrap us up for our very first show of the year, our Friday night scoreboard show. I want to thank you guys for checking in with me tonight. Don't forget, I'll be back Monday for our original Extra Point with Phil Jones. That's at 5 o'clock. If you have never watched the show, please check in and check it out on Monday, 5 to 6:30. The format, very much the same as it is on this one. We'll kind of recap everything that happened over the weekend and talk about the games coming up next week. Again, thanks so much for joining us tonight, guys, on Extra Point with Phil Jones, our Friday night scoreboard show.